everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all have had a fantastic June. It is just about over, so I thought I would do my monthly recap of all the cross-stitch projects I've been working on this month. I'm so glad you're here. If you're returning, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Jennifer, and I live in Texas. And my channel is comprised of a couple of different crafty things. So I divide up my episodes. The even-numbered episodes usually are yarn-related, knitting, crochet, and anything related to that. And then the odd-number episodes are cross-stitch related, which is what you will find here on this episode. So, again, glad you're here. I thought I would start today with a couple of FFOs, fully finished objects, and then an FFN, a finished for now. So let's get started. So one of the most proud moments of the month of June for me was finishing my Chester's Place. This is a project that was designed by Whistle Stop Stitcher. Who, if you follow on Instagram, she had designed this pattern back earlier in the year. I think I started, or the stitch along sort of was started around the beginning of March. So I think I actually started this on March 1st. And she had designed this pattern as a fundraiser for her sister who had adopted a cat. Right here, this little orange tabby named Chester, and if you go on Instagram and follow them, you'll see Chester's progress. But basically, when she had adopted Chester, Chester had quite a large number of vet bills that had to be taken care of to get him well, to get him healthy. So she designed this pattern and had originally posted a certain number on, I want to say Etsy, to raise enough money for her sister's cat's vet bill, but sold all of those copies super quick, and it was a digital pattern, and so she then opened it back up, and now I think if you buy the pattern on Etsy, a portion of the proceeds go to a animal related charity that Jennifer Whistle Stop Stitcher is fond of, or that's in the area where she lives. So I fully finished mine. I used basically the process of just trying to stitch on this an hour a day, any day that I felt up to it, and most days I felt up to it. The house was really the last part that I had to put together, so that's definitely what took up the most time towards the end. But I stitched this on a 16 count. I think it's Under the Sea Fabrics, and it's called Properly Primitive. I'll put down below if that's not right. It might be a picture of this Plus brand fabric. But she had designed the pattern in some fancy overdyed flosses like Gentle Arts, those kinds of things. But she also gave a DMC conversion, so that's what I chose to do. There are a few flaws in this, some things that are kind of off one way or another, one stitch or two, but everything lines up well enough for me that you can't, if you don't know the pattern, you don't know that they're off necessarily, or they're not visually off so much that you really, it's not pleasing to look at still. And then the one alternate change other than my initials is this little kitty cat right here. I added some white detailing just to match the two tuxedo kitty cats that we have in our household. So other than that, pretty much everything else is the same. And all I chose to do with this was I bought this, it's just a wooden sign. I think I found it at Michael's. They had different finishes, but I like kind of the stark brown one just because the brown featured in the pattern. And so this is just basically pinned and mounted to sticky board. And then once I realized the pattern kind of wasn't as small as I thought. I mean, I was really much closer to the edge of the size wooden piece that I bought. I opted, instead of doing a second fabric mount behind it because I didn't have that much left, instead I just hot glued some palm trim that I got at like Joann's. So that is my finish, but I absolutely love it. I did take some pictures. If you follow me on Instagram, one of them was outdoors and then one of them was back here in the room, just to kind of show you in different lighting so you could kind of see the colors a little bit better and maybe get a up close better picture of like, especially the fabric's got some green and pink peachy colors, brown, tan, those kinds of things in it, so I wanted to be able to capture that in the photos as well. But yeah, I have this hanging in my kitchen, so I absolutely love it. So I brought it in here really quick to show you guys. In addition to that, I'm going to put a picture here. This fully finished object was a gift for a coworker, so she's already got it. She's had it for a while now. I kind of finished it earlier in the month because this is supposed to be a text message of 2 emojis. And if you're familiar with those of us who live down south, we talk a little bit funny. So if you were to say, well, shoot, insert alternative SH word after, instead of shoot. Here you might say, well, shoot, or the other word. So that's a text that she would send quite often when, things go wrong. You go, well, shoot. So I thought that this would be a nice little gift to give to her, and I designed it myself and finished it in the hoop, and similar to the one that I did last month for a coworker who was in remission from cancer. Had a little plastic easel that I just, had it on her desk. So, and she was very happy with that. To get it, I kind of sent her a picture ahead of time just to make sure it was kind of up her alley as far as the cross stitch, part of it goes. But she absolutely loved it when I showed her the picture of it. So, so then I told her it was hers. So, it's been delivered. It's on her desk. Well, I say it's on her desk at work. I delivered it to her desk at work. She may have actually taken it home. I don't know. But it may also still be on her desk. We don't go into the office that often, so I don't know if that's where she decided to keep it. And then my third finish, for now, FFN, is actually part of the Quirky Quaker Sal that's going on Instagram, or in this particular case, the Quaker Cryptid Sal that was started by Michelle Bendy and Coffee Stitcher. And when Deanna of Darling and Whimsy Designs released her next little round of Quirky Quakers here, she released these 3. And so they decided on Instagram to slightly change up the hashtag a little bit to celebrate or to share these particular Quakers as they were being stitched. So they started the Quirky Cryptid Sal on Instagram this month. And as you can see, there's the Nessie, the Unicorn, and the Sasquatch. However, if you purchase the pattern, Deanna also included a way to convert the Sasquatch to a Yeti. So those two that I just mentioned are the 2 that I actually finished this month. So this is my big piece of fabric that I'm putting all of my Quirky Quakers on, but these are my 2. I did the Yeti first the day before the Quirky Cryptid Sal began, and then the day of I did the matching Sasquatch. So these are absolutely great. They're really quick finishes. I think there was one, I'm thinking maybe the fishbone, that it took me 2 days, or the fox, and it was only because I started so late in the day on it that I just had, I just couldn't get it finished. I wanted to go to bed. So, but each of these, if you start them early enough in the day, you do get them finished the same day. So this was literally done the day before, and this was done the day after. So They stitch up really, really quick, and they're absolutely adorable. So this is, I've mentioned it before, and I always get it wrong, but I think this is either Silver Luna or Silver Moon or something like that fabric. So that's why the Yeti doesn't show up really well, because there, you can kind of see it there with the kind of the shadow cast. But the fabric, or the fabric and also the thread are not the same, but they are similar enough that unless you get close enough that you can actually see it, which you can see it just fine, but from this far back, it's much harder to tell. You can tell them much easier. But the threads that I'm choosing to use for all of these Quirky Quakers are Forbidden Fiber Company. So these aren't the ones that I've used for these necessarily, but these are some of the ones that I've chosen for some later projects later in the year. So, and as a matter of fact, I think this ocean is my plans for Nessie, and this salmon and Purple Rain are going to be for my unicorn when I do those. So they are definitely, you know, on the list of things to do throughout the year. I try to do just one a month, pick a day, pick a weekend, and just stitch one. Now that Deanna has released several and has plans to release several more, I may be stitching them one a month for the rest of my life, but that's okay. I'm totally in love with it. I think it's absolutely fabulous, and usually I can find a good day, maybe a holiday to celebrate, or a national recognition day or something that gives me an excuse to stitch one of these. But I think one a month has been really good. So the only thing I will add is obviously it's June, and I've only got 5, and I did 2 of these in June. So when these were originally, I started with the Lovebirds, which I think I did at the very end of January. And at the time, just as a little backstory, there were 7, or there were 6. At the time that Lovebirds was released, there were 6. That was number 6. And I was going to do one every other month for the rest of the year. And then Fishbone came out, and the story behind that, which I've told before, is because that was the 7th. It was part of a charity fundraising kind of thing. Deanna just asked that you donate to your favorite animal-related, shelter, rescue, something like that, charity. And then with the receipt, then then you got the Fishbone. So I did that on National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day here in the U.S., and so that was my 7th stitch, thinking that I still had the other 6 that I would do every other month. So it was basically January, March, and then April, and then May was going to be my next one. Well, then it came out that Deanna was going to do a ton of releases, and I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Well, I also knew this was coming out very, very soon. In May, I think she had teased them. And so May got really busy with Stitch Mayhem. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to put this, since I was doing Owl Forest kind of exclusively in May, I thought, okay, I'm going to wait. And then in June, I'm going to play kind of catch up. And this actually afforded me the ability to truly stitch 2 in a month to kind of play catch up. So this was May and this was June. So the only month I'm really missing is February, because I skipped it because that was the initial plan. This was stitched in January, but it was meant to be a January-February, because Valentine's Day was coming up. So here I am now trying to decide. I will definitely be stitching 1 a month. Hopefully I will have 12 done by the end of the year. I should be able to stitch 2 more, or play catch up with 1 extra one sometime during the rest of this year. I definitely have the other cryptids, 2 cryptids to do, and I want to do both of those. And I've still got all the other ones that she's released that I've purchased, so I've got plenty to choose from. It's just a matter of choosing which one I want to do next. Okay, Okay, so next we're going to talk about all of my whips that I worked on this month. So for the month of June, once May was over with and the Alforest thing kind of died down, my plans moving forward were to work on all of the whips I had started since I started this whole thing up again, and try to touch on at least everything that I had actively, an active work in progress, at least one day during the month, which would be the date of the month in which I started it previously, with the intention that my focus every other day that I didn't pick up something relegated to that specific day was Chester, and I got it finished, which was great. So every day that I didn't work on something else, I worked on Chester, and for an hour. That's basically my plan for now, and it seems to be working really well. That every day I work on something, stitch on something for an hour. And if you watch my other my knitting videos, with that also comes trying to knit on a project for an hour a day if I can. So once I got Chester done, I have to decide what my next focus piece is going to be to try to get done. It will probably be one of my sals that I'm either in the middle of or like made to create just ended, or the 6th piece was just released this month, so we're done with that pattern. That may be my focus and get that one done next, just because I have the full pattern now, and it's I think I'm most of the way through part 3 or most of the way through part 4 maybe, so that may be the one that I focus on an hour every day that I'm not working on another project. So I'm saying all that to say I'm going to show you all the pieces that I either started or touched, and I'm going to try to go in the order in which I began at the beginning of the month, just because that's how I keep my journal. So I kind of listed them on my notes here as I look down occasionally, in the order in which I worked on them throughout the month of June. So I kind of know in the back of my head the dates on some of these as well, but I'll get them a little bit out of order just because I know where they are in my bag, and I can reach for them quite easily, more so than some of the others. So we will start at the beginning of the month, which the beginning of the month, the first of the month, was when I had started my Game of Thrones sal, which was designed, this design is Steno Stitches, who they have a floss tube here on YouTube if you have any interest, but was started alongside Carla Rolodex as well as a stitch along. So in each one of these, I will try to put a picture up here if I can find one of where I was the previous month before I started working on it this month, just to kind of show you where I was. And then this is, if I can unfold this a little bit because I kind of have to move it around in the hoop. This is where I am now. So I didn't do just a whole lot. The only thing that I had was, there's like a double pointed kind of sword emblem looking thing here at the top. I'll post a picture here really quick of what the finished piece will look like as well, just so you kind of have an idea. And all I had done on that was just like this little heart shape right here. So on the first, I basically stitched all this additional. And the only reason why there's not more done on this was somewhere on one of these, and I can't remember if it's the top or the bottom, I got off a stitch and I got all the way around, only to realize when I was doing the other side coming back around that they weren't symmetrical. So I did the other side around. I think I did the bottom and I was off a stitch. So when I did the top, did it correctly, then I had to frog all of the bottom back out, all the way back to where I skipped a stitch, and then start all over again. So there'd probably be a lot more there, but you know, sometimes that frustrates you a little bit. So once you get to a certain point, like here, I was like, okay, I'm done, I've had enough. Or I got interrupted and I was like, okay, I'm done, I've had enough, I'm not coming back to it. But I got a little bit more done. And this isn't a terribly big pattern. This is going to fit on this piece of linen, which I will put down here what this is. I think this is a 28 count, but I can't remember. But I'll put down here what the fabric is. A lot of these I don't know off the top of my head unless I've still got it like in the bag or something, and I know this one I don't. But it's mostly stitched on 310. So I actually have a big one of those big pearl DMC balls of 310, and I'm actually just using one thread, and it looks really, really good. I mean, I really like how it's turning out. So yeah, so that was my June 1st work. And then like I said, worked on Chester in between here and there, trying to get that finished. So then the next date that I had lined out for a project was the 4th, which the 4th, May the 4th, last month, I had actually worked on 2 things because it was Star Wars Day, sort of. The official but unofficial. So one of the things I worked on was the Forbidden Fiber Company Mandalorian pattern that we got in that cross-stitch kit. And I'll put a picture here of how far I got last time. And then I will show you. The only thing I'm probably going to be working on for a while is the letters. There's a lot of stitches there, but it's also just, you know, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And again, I'm only putting in about an hour, roughly, for most of these. Maybe not quite an hour, but yeah, so I got a little bit further on the lettering. But to me, that's good progress. So I'm really happy about that. And then the other May 4th start, which was part of the Stitch Life box that they sent us, was the I Need Some Space pattern, which this one's a digital pattern, so I'll put a picture here of the digital pattern, and then a picture of my start, which I kind of joked last time was I barely got started on it for May the 4th. I got everything, all the stitches in the D except for like one stitch. So I've almost got now the word need done. So that's where I am on that. And again, that's probably not quite an hour, but it's probably within an hour's time frame, just to touch on it for a little bit. So that is as far as I've gotten on that one. And then the other one that I know of, and like I said, these dates are going to go a little bit out of order, but the other thing that I actually started this in April for Earth Day on the 22nd. Is that right? I think Earth Day is April 22nd. Was also a Steno Stitches pattern called Respect Your Mother. And so I think I might have worked on this a little bit in May. Again, it's a digital pattern, so I'll put the pattern here, and then I'll show you where I left off last time, and then here is where I'm at. So basically now because I'm at the point where I can't count too much further over and not fear having an error in my trees over on this side. What I'm trying to do now is just fill in all of the water and the land on the planet Earth, and then in hopes that then I can make my way back around and finish the other. And I think this one is mostly called for the DMC colors, I think, are what they suggested. And you don't need much, so some of this I just pulled off a few strands just for what I needed for like the trees. But yeah, that's where I'm at on that one, and I'll pick that one up again next month. Okay, so some of the other stitch-alongs that I worked on this month, in no particular order. If I can remember a date when I started, I will. Otherwise, it's not that big of a deal, really. One of them was which I am so far behind on, but it is officially over, is the Homely Houseplant Stitch Along by Stitchonomy. Each of the plants were released like every 2 or 3 days, and she is done, and she's getting ready to start her next Stitch Along, which happens to be a paid Stitch Along, so I am going to skip out on that one, because the next free one will be in advance of Halloween. It'll be her next Halloween Stitch Along will be free, so I've signed up for that one, so it gives me a little bit of time to get this one done. But this is the Homely Houseplants, the second version, and basically, I don't know if there's a full picture. If I can find a full picture of what it will look like finished, I'll put that up here, and then of course I'll show you where I was last time. And then this is basically where I got done. I finished the first plant and most of the cabinet that it's sitting in. There are a couple of errors. I got off by a stitch or two, but I kind of made it work, and I think it looks fine, so it's totally fine. But yeah, so this is the bottom of the piece, and so the plants will stack up here, they'll stack up here, and then there will be some hanging plants at the top, and then, you know, stuff, one big plant and a hanging plant in the center. So, but I did get that one done, and I think it looks really cute, and I'm kind of looking forward to this piece. I will put the fabric, because I do not know that off the top of my head, but I am using her called for DMC recommendations. She gave alternative DMC conversions if you wanted it to match the version 1 that was released last year. But since I haven't stitched that one, I thought I'll just go with the colors that she recommended to begin with. So that is my Homely Houseplants Stitch Along. That's how far I got on that one. And then the Alice in Wonderland Owl Forest Stitch Along, which is released every 2 weeks. I think they're on like part 5 now. I think last time I showed you I had finished or just about finished part 1. And I don't know how much I can show you as far as pictures go, because they don't, the picture that they give is all blurred out for the pattern. So all I can do is show you the parts that I've finished so far. But if you go out and look for it, I don't know if it's what the hashtag is, but look for Owl Forest embroidery, like their main Instagram, and then go find the Alice pictures, and then if you do, you should be able to find an updated listing or posting of the last release, which I think was part 5, maybe part 6. But I'm only halfway through part 2, and I actually ended up watching all 3 of the Disney, the animated and then the 2 live action Alice in Wonderland movies, just while I was stitching just this part. So that's how long this took. So, and I am, for this one, they have their fancy flosses that you can purchase as a kit. I did not do that. They also give DMC conversions for those flosses, which I am not doing. I have actually gone and kitted up Forbidden Fiber floss in colors that I think compare to the colors that were on the picture online. So I think so far what I've done is really close to the colors that are being shown in the pictures using the actual Owl Forest floss. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. So all of this trellis work and flowers was all of part 1. Everything above that, these 2 rose planters and then this border across the top, is part 2. So this is everything that I did from here up. And as I seem to be repeating myself, it is off. But not so much. I made sure that the parts that needed to line up lined up, so the stitches that are off so small that I don't think it's that obvious unless you're really just staring at it for a long period of time. This one I used a Charles Craft DMC even weave, like a 28 count tea-dye that was like out of the rolled tube that I bought at like a craft store like Michael's or Joann's or somewhere. So I think that's going to be my biggest challenge with this piece, is keeping the linen count, because I'm stitching 2/2, keeping the count right, because if I get off by, you know, even half a stitch, then obviously then I start having issues trying to make sure everything lines up. But other than that, I think it's really cute. So the other half of part 2 is basically this same motif or similar motif, but down below it's 2 more planted roses. I think they're white roses though instead of red, and then another border down below those, similar to this one at the top. So that will be the next part that I work on when I get the chance. And then a new stitch along for the month of June. If you follow Modern Folk Embroidery Jacob here on YouTube, and or Caroline, who is Off the Grid Needle Arts, she's also the owner of Evertote.com. They did a collaboration where Jacob got with Leo and Roxy Floss, or Leo and Roxy, the yarn dyers, who also carries the one that dyes hand-dyed cotton floss, and he designed a pattern to raise money for the COVID relief over in India. And so I will put the picture here of what the finished pattern project looks like. And so basically he got with Leo and Roxy, with Carrie, and designed this pattern using her colors. And so so Caroline at Evertote is the exclusive distributor of Leo and Roxy floss for now. So Caroline then sold kits, basically where you got the pattern and the floss together. And just a little side story, when I originally purchased the kit, I either did not read clearly or was not aware that she had 2 versions of the kit. So the original design was stitched over one on, you know, some kind of linen or even weave or something, and so there were 2 kits sold, because the over one kit had much less floss in it, and that's the one that I purchased, only to realize I chose a piece of fabric that was Aida. So I had to go back and buy a second just set of the over one set of floss, so that way I had enough to cover the over 2, or 2/2, or 2, to cover the 2/1 that I am doing on Aida. So since this is a new start for me for June, this is everything that I've gotten done, including today. And I mentioned earlier that I thought my Made to Create may be my 1 hour a day project, to try to get that one finished next. But I will honestly say I really am enjoying, this will be a little bird when it's finished, I really am enjoying this. So this is kind of my other one that, kind of like Chester's Place, that every time I pick it up I really enjoy stitching on it. This will probably be one of the few Modern Folk Embroidery pieces that I ever stitch, because it seems a more manageable stitch. It's not, I wouldn't say Jacob's patterns are full coverage, but there is a lot of coverage on his patterns, which are just amazing and gorgeous, and I would love to own them all, but I would never stitch the vast majority of them. So yeah, so I ended up deciding on a 16 count. So this one I do know is, this is 16 count, picture this plus, and it's ancient. So if you guys are familiar with ancient at all, it's this goldish tan, but it's got this gray in it. And in the linen even weave versions, that gray comes out quite a bit more. So I'm actually really happy that I'm choosing the Aida to do this on, because it's less obvious, or less, it doesn't detract from the stitches as much. But I think it's going to look really pretty when it's done. So, so yeah, so those are all the colors that'll be on this, and I think it's going to be really pretty. And this is definitely, like I said, if I don't do the made to create every day for an hour, just because, you know, I don't feel like it, this is probably going to be the one, because I feel like every time that I don't know what I want to stitch on, this is the one I pick up, because I enjoy stitching on this one a lot. Okay, so I'm going to cover a couple of my other Owl Forest starts from May, from my Owl Forest Mayhem month. I got a little bit more done, not a lot, but a little bit more done. Like I said, I try to do about an hour on, you know, any whips that I have. So this is my Autumn Cats. There's the digital picture of the full pattern there, and here is where I left off last time. I was just starting the kitty cat's face, so again, I didn't do just a whole lot, but I did get a little bit more of the black filled in on his face. And this one I stitched for an hour, or about an hour, on the day that I had started it in May. So so I'm slowly getting there. Maybe he will be an autumn finish if I'm lucky. But yeah, I was going to say that vast majority of that pattern is going to be that 310, just filling in that big huge cat. So it may take me a while. It'll just be a lot of slow going. And if I don't, I was going to say, if I only do it one day a month, it probably won't be done in autumn, or won't be done by autumn to hang up or put out or anything. But maybe it will be something that the closer I get to autumn, I'll want to work on more and more to try to get him finished, because he's not a very big piece. He's just that big cat is just a lot of stitches, so I got to work on him. And then during, I think, watching a live chat here on YouTube, probably Kaylee Cross Stitch or Michelle Bendy or somebody like that, I worked a little bit more on my 100 Owls as well. So again, here's the digital pattern, or the digital picture of the full pattern when they're done. Here's where I got to last time, and I didn't get just a whole lot more done either on this one. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because nothing happened below this section, but I got a little bit more done on the owl number 1 on the brown. So again, it's just a whole lot of fill-in stitches right there. So so yeah, and both of these patterns are free on Owl Forest's website. If you go look under their free digital charts, I am using the called for DMC conversions on both of them, and these are both stitched on just Zweigart fabric that I have, so I'm pretty sure it's probably 14 count. Autumn Cats, if I've still got the label, is stitched on a 14 count Misty Blue. And then I don't think I have the label on the 100 Owls, but I will put it down below unless it's here. No, so I'll put because this is a lighter colored blue fabric for my 100 Owls, so I'll put that down below as to the fabric I'm using for that one as well. But they're 14 count, and I've started to learn most people don't. 14 count is kind of real beginner fabric, and the only reason why I'm doing these or stitching these on 14 count is because I was an Aida person for a really long time until I kind of branched out into smaller count, different kinds of fabric, and learning about overdyed fabric and, you know, specialty fabric. But these happen to be my stash. These both happen to be similar or similar color or similar in tone to the color that were used on the pattern, and they were kind of almost perfect size. that when I was finished, I would have just enough margin to frame them, basically, or finish them however, but they would take up that fabric and I wouldn't have to worry. Now, I say that, the Autumn Cat, I think, takes up like the top, or the half of it. But yeah, both these fabrics worked out really well, and I don't mind stitching on 14 count. When they're done, and they'll still be pretty, or cute, or, you know, whatever, so I'm totally okay with that. Okay, so then I think everything else I have to show you is also a whip, but also a new start for the month of June. None of these projects I had started in the month of May, so everything I'm going to show you here is everything that I've gotten done within the month. So I will start with Ana Aguayo, which is Peruvian Flair. She did a stitch along for the first 3 weekends in June, and this was you had to sign up for her stitch along online to get the pattern for free, and that has now ended, and I believe if you go to her Etsy shop you can now purchase it. I've still got my Peruvian cats to stitch. I'm still struggling with the fact that I'm not sure if I have enough thread to stitch the last big cat's reflection, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. So in the meantime, here's Lovebirds. I think she's a fantastic designer. I've actually bought a couple more of her patterns, and here at the end of the month, at the end of June, another kind of stitchy friend that I am friends with on Instagram, Elaine's stuff, she and Anna did a collaborative giveaway because Elaine had hit 300 followers on Instagram. So I thought that was fantastic too. So I tried to share as much as I could, but that ended on, I believe, the 28th of June. So by the time you're seeing this, I know it is expired, it's over. But I would definitely still suggest going out and checking out Anna's patterns on Etsy. She is a fantastic designer, and especially if you like the South American cultural aesthetic to her patterns. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. So I showed you the digital pattern. So I haven't gotten very far on this, but this is basically the top left corner of the border. So that's as far as I got. And part of my delay was I knew the fabric I wanted to use to start this. I mean, I knew the floss I wanted to do to start this. So this is a variegated floss that I got in a Stitchy box, in the bird themed box, and this is called Calling Birds. But I had to email Anna because I knew how much silk I had, but I didn't know if this was going to be enough to do what I wanted to do with it. So she was very gracious and very kind. Anna's so communicative and so lovely, and told me basically, yeah, you're probably going to need, like if you were doing DMC or something like that, you're going to need at least 2 skeins. So I delayed my start because I wanted to make sure I could get another skein of that, which I could. So I'm hoping, my original plan was to do the purple just like Anna had it, and then the 2 birds are a reflection of each other, one of them in the same purple and then the other in the gold. So that was I've kind of done a dilemma on which gold I want to use, and then I started rethinking it, and I started thinking, well, maybe what I want to do is choose like this turquoise and the purple that are in these, and then do the actual birds in those colors, and then just do this just as the outline. So I'm still thinking about it, but I've got all the parts of the pattern now, so I just have to stitch it. And I absolutely love the colors of that floss on that fabric. So this fabric happened to come in a different box. This came in the latest Stitch Life magazine box that I did not do an unboxing for on here. I wish I had, but I think it's a 14 count. But it's a hand dyed, and I couldn't tell you the name of the dyer. I didn't keep the card. Sorry, guys. But it's called Adobe Red, and I absolutely love it. Now, it's really stiff, and when I started stitching with the silk, I realized I probably should have like soaked this or washed this or something, because it's really scratchy, and it's kind of not snagging, but it is kind of catching the silk a little bit, so I'm going to have to figure out what to do about that. But I think if I take it slow, I think it'll be fine. But it's absolutely pretty. And then if you're wondering about the needle minder too, same. It was also in that Stitch Life magazine box. It's actually supposed to mimic a piece of agate, like a sliced piece of agate, but I think it's just resin. But yeah, it is actually a needle minder. I've actually got a needle stuck on there. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing for my Lovebird Sal, and like I said, I'm just going to go slow with it. I know how I'm going to start it, I just don't know how I'm going to finish it yet. And then I do definitely want to keep on with my Peruvian cat Sal as well. And so I'll just, take that one day at a time and get as far as I can with that one. So another stitch along that started this month was the Transtastic Pride stitch along, which is this is the digital pattern. I think I have actually shown this before, but I hadn't started it yet. I had just shown it in anticipation of plans for the month of June. So this is artwork is by Kari Naken, and it was converted to a cross stitch pattern by D's 20 Stitches on Instagram, and they were selling this pattern as a way to raise money for several trans positive organizations that help with particularly trans youth here in the United States with just help and mental health help and stuff like that. So yeah, we all started stitching this month, and everybody chose to do something different, and I'm kind of envious of some of the paths people have chosen, because they've chosen to do all of the outline first and then go back and fill in everything, whereas I chose to stitch each one of the flower motifs around the edge first, or do each one at a time. So that's as far as I've gotten. Now this is multiple days. I think in about an hour I get probably a flower done. Now this one probably took 2, just because there is a lot of fill in on that particular, but I think that was about an hour, and this was probably about an hour's worth of work as well, getting that one done. So that's what I've been doing, is just building my my little flower garden around the unicorn. And I do have somewhere, I think, I thought I did. I hope I didn't lose it. This fabric I know because I bought it specifically, or bought it hoping for a pattern like this, and I was so glad that I did it, because you can kind of see, hopefully, that it's sparkly. This is a hand dyed by Rolanda. I think it might be a 14 count. But she doesn't have color names to hers. Like, hers are all one of a kind. So it was one that I bought from her off of Etsy. And then this is my little Stitch All the Colors needle minder from my Rainbow Stitches box from Black Needle Society. So this one's been slow going, but this is another one that I enjoy it every time I pick it up, and usually I'm watching TV or floss tube or something, when I'm working on this. A couple of those I think I stitched during like book club or a live chat on YouTube with another stitcher like Kaylee or Michelle or somebody. And I am using the called for DMC, which includes this yellow etoile for the buckle on the unicorn's collar. And it also calls for this 5200 Diamant, which is very, very pretty. But I have another pattern project that I wanted to try to stitch with Diamant, because I kind of bought like the multi-pack or the complete pack of Diamant directly from DMC here just recently, and I wanted to try it with another pattern just to kind of see, because I'd never stitched with it before, and it's kind of tricky to use. And because I'm not stitching over one, because this is Ada, I'm trying to decide how I want to do that. Like, if I still want to use the Diamant, because I got two spools because I wasn't sure that I'd need to, but I thought, well, just in case. But now, now that I've stitched with it a little bit, I'm not sure if I'm going to like stitching with it, because that unicorn is completely filled in with Diamant. So, I'm kind of hoping that if I'm kind of behind everybody else with this, that if I see somebody else has chosen like the white etoile, I know I've stitched with etoile and I totally like that. But hopefully if I see somebody else's project that looks like theirs turned out really pretty but with a different sparkly effect, I might go that route instead. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this Diamant. I may have to stitch over one on something, or try stitching over one on something, but yeah, for now, I'm just going to go with the DMC recommended for that pattern and see where it takes me. Okay, so there's a couple more that I started. These were both also in honor of Pride Month. One is, here's the digital rendering, I hope, of, this is Night Spirit Studios. Gosh, I hope that's right. But this is called Safe Space, and I absolutely love this pattern. So I also, and this is part of haul this month, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. Leo and Roxy, my favorite people, came out with this Pride collection. Basically, it's every color in the Pride flag, including the trans colors. So that's what I'm using for the Safe Space. Now, the one exception is, or not exception, but the one change that I'm making is the bats. So I'm stitching this. This is how far I've gotten, just the white so far, just the word Safe Space. And I haven't even finished all of that F yet, but because I'm stitching this on Ada, black Ada, which, if you guys have been following me for a while, I swore I'd never do, but here I am doing it anyway. The bats are all pretty much the same color, or they're two varying colors of a really dark gray. And I kind of just wanted to change that up. So I have these three colors of Leo and Roxy. These are not part of the Pride collection. These are actually three other ones that are all kind of varying degrees. Like, these two are different kinds of gray, silvery gray, and this third one is just a really purple, almost black. So I'm hoping these will kind of show up, and I'm just going to mix them up. I'm just going to kind of, whichever way, that's what I'm going to do. So I just have to see how they stitch up. So this very dark black, purpley black is Vamp. This kind of silvery purple is called Plum Shadow, and this is one of the ones that's part of the Rule of Lifestyle. This happened just to be one that was in a set that I bought separately before Jacob had designed that pattern. And then this one is called Morticia, and it's just purples and like a grayish blue color. So those are the other three I think I'm going to use for the bats for this pattern, and I really like how it's turning out so far. So I'm super excited about that. But yes, it was meant to be another Pride start for the month of June. Okay, and then finally I had one more small start right here at the end of the month. This is a digital pattern that was released by Stitch Life magazine as a freebie. I believe it was actually released on the official Pride Day in June that is recognized as the day that they, in history, that was the day of the Stonewall riots. So Stitch Life decided to release this on that day. And so everybody was queuing it up to do a Pride Stitch Along. And I think this one's called hashtag True Colors, SAL, Stitch Along. And I did not get very far on it. So I actually opted, and I'm hoping, you're going to see here in a minute, I'm hoping this is just enough fabric to fit. But this is on a 32 count Joblin, just in white. But it's one of those ornament cuts from Fire Poppies. And as you can see, I'm getting really close to the edge over here, but I think I'm going to be fine. Now, I don't know how I'm going to finish this yet, but that's as far as I got. And I chose, for this particular pattern, to use, these are Ymir almond M&Ms here on YouTube and on Instagram. These are her silks. Specifically, this is the Mayflowers silk pack that you buy, and it actually comes with basically all the Pride colors, almost all of the Pride colors. There are a couple of the trans colors that wouldn't be included. I mean, this was not, so let me just say, she did not release this. She released this in May. This was not meant to be a Pride release. This was Mayflowers. These were all different flower colors. So like, this one's called Orchid. Sorry. This one's called Geranium Rose. Dried Rosemary. Agave Nectar. Wild Hibiscus, and so on and so on. So these are all meant to be flower colors. But I thought they looked really well together on this. So in addition to that, for the gray, I'm using DMC 413 for the kind of grayish black words on here. But that's as far as I got. So this is taking me a little bit longer than I thought it would, but you know, slow going. I think this is it's two different sessions. One of them may have been an hour, but I think the other one wasn't quite. It was probably only like 30 minutes or something, because you get interrupted and you don't come back to it. So I'm going to keep working on that as well. I'm hoping it'll be a really quick stitch. I mean, it's not very many stitches. It's just finding the time to do it. So but now that we're at kind of the end of June, I don't want to stop stitching all my Pride stuff. Absolutely not. I just have to fit it in with all the other plans that I have. And like I said, even if it means just picking these up on the days in which I started them, the date, picking them up each successive month on that same date, I think I'll get these done in pretty short order. So I think that's everything as far as works in progress go. I wanted to check my list one more time, but I think I've covered everything. There's probably some other little stuff that I probably worked on that just didn't make it, just because I didn't have a whole lot done, or maybe I didn't do anything at all. There are definitely some things that I had on my list to do this month that I just didn't even pick up. So the only other thing I'll talk about really quick is haul. I'll start by saying, I kind of recognize that when people talk about their haul or what they've purchased over the last month on here, it can be a little frustrating for those that feel either like they can't buy all the things all the time. And also a lot of times I feel like, me personally, my haul, or things that I purchase, you're going to eventually see, like almonds, like Ymir silks. This was a purchase from May, probably. I don't necessarily want to show this in haul, because I know I'm going to show this when I actually use it in a project. So a lot of times the Leo and Roxy floss the same exact way. So I would rather show you a purchase when I'm in the process of utilizing that purchase, as opposed to just showing it off because I bought it. having said that, I do realize certain things, like the Leo and Roxy floss, for instance, have a very short amount of time in which you can purchase those things. So I hope by not choosing to share them when I buy them that I'm not upsetting any of you because you may have missed your opportunity to buy them. But I do feel like sometimes, while the enabling can be fun, it can also be crippling for people who have issues with spending money, those kinds of things. So I want to be mindful of what all I show. So the couple of things that, if you haven't seen them already in this episode as part of a project, I thought I would share with you, are usually things that I've bought from maybe small businesses that I want you to be aware of. I don't really have any of that this go round, but I know I've bought needle minders and stuff like that, so that I'm sure you will see in the not too distant future. But the other thing is that I do find people are always curious about is Alforst Embroidery, which I do have a couple of things that I did get from them in the mail. Alforst, for the most part, because they're in Russia, I think a lot of people are hesitant to purchase from them, partly because of the time that might lapse from the time of purchase to the time that you receive it. Or you're worried that it'll get lost, because once it kind of leaves them, there's no real way to track your package. But I've only purchased or made 2 purchases in which it required a shipment, and I have to say, when there aren't any issues with the mail, and when things go smoothly, they go very smoothly. So the first one that I purchased was the kit that I did, the Evenings on a Farm kit that I started in May for my Alforst Mayhem. And that one I purchased right at the end of 2020, and I got it, or actually, I keep saying that. I think I purchased it right after Thanksgiving, and I got it right at the end of 2020. So it took about a month, but it was very quick, and the way the shipping worked, I mean, it worked out just fine. For me, it requires a signature, but the post lady has always been really nice, because of COVID, just kind of marking it that it was received, and due to COVID, there was no signature. Same happened again this time, only I will add that these came much quicker, and I don't know if that's because this time of year there wasn't as much of an issue with the mail, or customs, or whatever the process is, but I ordered 2 paper patterns, not kits, just paper patterns, and then I did order a 3rd kit that I had been eyeing. So the first paper pattern I got was the one of the solar system called Around the Sun, which, I don't know, there we go. I think is absolutely gorgeous. So it's the sun and all the planets, and you can kind of see in there the names of the planets around that. So that was absolutely adorable. And then I got one of their bird collections. This one is the hummingbirds, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. And again, it's just the paper pattern, so I don't have the floss or any of the fabric or anything like that. So I'll probably do DMC conversions and try to find fabric that I have in my stash to match both of those. I think I've got a couple of colors that'll work really, really well. And then the third thing I got was an actual kit. So I think this is called Hyperborea, and they sell this 2 different ways. But I think with the kit, this is the only kit that you can buy this pattern. So if you can see, it's winter animals. There's an owl and a polar bear and a bobcat, or a snow leopard, and then just a winter scene, with snowflakes, and I think there are like some seals or something right there. And just different houses and those kinds of things. So very, very pretty. Well, the other way I think this can also be purchased, but only the digital patterns, is they would divide these up into triptychs, and like they're like, you get the square with just the polar bear, the square with just the bobcat, or a square with just the owl, and I think you can buy them that way as well. And everybody talks about prices because they are in Russia, everything's listed in rubles. But I think, so the way it works is you order, they send you an invoice, or your invoice through PayPal. You pay through PayPal, and you cannot use a business account. For some reason, PayPal's rules or regulations or whatever won't allow it. But you can use like a personal account, or just pay as like a guest, basically. But everything's listed in rubles. Well, if you go to Google, and just in the Google search bar, just type in, 6,500 rubles equals US dollar, how much in US dollars, it will do the exchange for you, and it will tell you. So I think for the 3 things that I got, the full kit, the 2 patterns, 2 paper patterns, and then shipping, I think it was like in the high 60s, low 70s is what I paid US dollars. So, so yeah, you just need to go out and do a conversion rate exchange, and Google will do it for you. There are actually some apps out there that are like unit conversions for like everything from like, liters to gallons, from, inches to meter, or yards to meters, those kinds of things, but they always in there usually have a currency exchange rate as well. So if you're ever curious exactly how much you're paying, I mean, a lot of people just say, well, I just pay it, I don't know how much it is, and it's like, well, no, I kind of like to know. I mean, I think this is a very good deal, especially for a full kit, and then also 2 pretty detailed paper patterns. I think that's a great deal with shipping. But I still like to know, exactly what I'm spending, how much I'm spending. So, if you are ever concerned. But, like my 100 owls and, the autumn cats and my sparrows that I do, they have a ton of free patterns as well. The Alice Stitch Along is a free thing. So you could go out there right now and download the current Alice Stitch Along pattern in its current, whatever its current part is. I think, like I said, it's either part 5 or part 6. So they have a ton of free patterns. You certainly do not have to. And you can also, I think the only reason why I bought these as paper patterns is because they were not available as digital. But a lot of these are also available as digital patterns. Like, you don't have to buy paper patterns. I think it depends on the pattern. But there are plenty of digital patterns that you can buy as well. So, so yeah, I think that is everything. I think I have covered. I'm looking over my list, and I think I've checked off all the things that I meant to cover. I'm pretty sure there are plenty of things that I did not cover that maybe I should have, but this has probably gone on long enough, and yeah, I don't like these being super excessive long. So, with that, I will end it here. It's June. It's by the time you see this, it will probably be July, depending on how long this takes me to upload this to YouTube. But it is the end of June. For everybody that's in a part of North America right now, and even parts of Europe that are seeing extraordinarily high temperatures, the people I'm thinking of at the moment are the people in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Portland, Vancouver, those areas that don't see triple-digit temperatures hardly at all ever, but the fact that they're seeing multiple days of it, please, 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 please. I know you guys don't have AC in your homes. I mean, central AC in your homes. You probably have the window units or something like that. But if you don't, because your domicile where you live just doesn't have it, find a library, find a shopping mall, go see a movie, go to the movie theater. I know you feel like it's probably unsafe because of COVID, but I hope you are not willing to risk dying of heat stroke, because most of us are vaccinated now, and I think as things are starting to open up, I think your best bet is to go find a place to be cool, stay comfortable, and not be in the direct sunlight, and be, find a place if you have pets that's pet friendly, like PetSmart, pet store, or something like that. But please, 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 drink plenty of water, wear your sunscreen, stay hydrated, stay cooled off, listen to your local folks when they tell you what you need to do to stay safe. So I hope you guys are all taking care of yourselves. Here in Texas, we know what that's like, but we're used to it, and we've had central air in our homes and in our buildings for decades now, so we know what that's like. But we've also been in the situation where we've had rolling blackouts, or electrical grids fail, or you're the unfortunate person that ends up where your AC ends up going out in the middle of summer. I've been there too and had to have an AC unit replaced, so I know what that's like. So please, again, just be safe, take care of yourself, do what you think is best for you, but just know that risking heat stroke over some public exposure, in a public place just to stay cool, that just weigh those risks out, especially if you're vaccinated, and go find a place to take care of yourself and your children and your pets and your loved ones. So that's enough of that. I hope you all had a great June. I hope you all are doing well otherwise, and staying safe otherwise, despite the heat. And I will see you guys again in a couple of weeks with what would be my next knitting video. And if you are interested, there have been a couple of unboxing videos here this month as well. A lot of subscription boxes have been rolling in here lately. So everybody take care. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Be kind to one another, and I'll see you soon.